We're in the city of Minneapolis this morning with the West Metro Drug Task Force and our Emergency Services Unit, and we'll be executing a search warrant related to fentanyl dealing. We've executed a search warrant at this address and with this suspect a couple months ago and recovered a significant amount of fentanyl and firearms as well. I think he will have some more fentanyl inside. Yeah, in the last warrant in September, we recovered over 1,000 fentanyl pills and 4 firearms from this address. Dealer tear-offs, a bunch of sandwich baggies, the digital scale.
I can tell you that in 2022, approximately 10 people died a week in Hennepin County from a drug overdose. It's actually about 9.8 people every week. About 1 a day, so about 7 out of those a week, is from fentanyl.
The only thing I can compare to what we're seeing with all of the fentanyl is to the stories I heard about the crack epidemic.
The drug so powerful it will empty the money from your pockets, make you sell the watch off your wrist, the clothes off your back.
Way before I was a cop, where it just seemed like it was out of control, violence followed, and like I said, as long as I've been a cop, I haven't seen anything like this.
These are counterfeit oxycodone, 30 milligram. These have the same stampings and markings as oxycodone. There's an M with a square on one side, and then on the other side it'll say 30. I would say 99% of the pills that we find that look like this contain fentanyl. One pill is enough to kill someone, yes.
There is no single person, there is no community that is immune from this crisis.
Hi, my name is Major Rick Pelaya. I oversee the Investigative Bureau of the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office. The Violent Offender Task Force and our Drug Task Forces, their primary goal is to go after drug dealers and people committing violent crimes.
He's looking down, that guy on the right is reaching down. Hands up!
We find that there is a strong connection, strong correlation between guns, drugs, and violent offenders.
I would say on a weekly basis, either the Violent Offender Task Force or the Drug Task Forces are either seizing fentanyl or purchasing fentanyl as part of their investigations.
We are one of the primary agencies fighting the fentanyl epidemic and taking these things off the street. I oversee the Southwest Hennepin Drug Task Force, which includes our partner agencies from Eden Prairie, Edina, Hopkins, St. Louis Park, and Minnetonka, as well as our West Metro Drug Task Force, which includes our partners from Medina, Minnetrista, Orono, South Lake Minnetonka Police, and West Hennepin Public Safety. Having partners across Hennepin County is vital because these issues aren't isolated to one specific city in Hennepin County. It's in the urban areas, the suburbs, and across the county, so our investigative and enforcement efforts need to be as well. Sometimes you can go into investigation and think, oh, this is local drug dealer affecting this particular community, but as your investigation progresses, you learn that they're connected to this other community, back down into the Twin Cities, out of state, sometimes out of country.
As far as the violent offenders, the gangs, the guns, the drugs, and the fugitives, there's no one else that is doing what Votive is doing.
We saw heroin for many, many years. And heroin was deadly, and we'd see heroin overdose deaths, but nothing like the fentanyl overdose deaths. The fentanyl overdose deaths are catastrophic to the whole country.
Hi, I'm Benjamin Barbin. I'm a crime scene investigator for the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office. Death investigations is what we do, so when we get there with a suspected overdose, at least between all the lines, night and day shift, at least once a week we're going to an overdose death here at crime scene. Well, when I get to a scene and I see that there's drug paraphernalia or drug residues on anything, I have to treat it as if it's fentanyl because of how potent fentanyl is. So we have to use every precaution, and if necessary, the agency will ask us to package it up and we'll transfer it over to them.
The Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, we're committed to attacking the fentanyl crisis that we're in from a wide variety of angles. So as part of our criminal intelligence division, we have what's called the HIDA ISC. What HIDA stands for is high intensity drug trafficking areas.
So what we do is we provide case support to investigators that are working on any drug-related cases to include overdose deaths. So what we want to do is provide those case agents with any information related to perhaps who the dealer is, or maybe if there's a victim of an overdose, who that victim interacted with to basically acquire that fentanyl, and try and essentially figure out who the dealers are and try and take them out of the mix.
CISA, CID, they play an invaluable role. In fact, we couldn't do our job without them. They are the intelligence branch of what we do. And all of this enforcement that we're talking about is what I like to call intelligence-led or intelligence-based. It's intelligence-based policing. And VOTEF is really kind of at the cutting edge.
Law enforcement used to be a very siloed business, and it used to be very private. With one department, they would have information and they would want to keep it for themselves, and people would compete for that same information. And I think recently, over the past couple of years, a lot of those walls have been broken down, and agencies are working a lot better together to share information for the common good. For the West Metro Drug Task Force, they're more long-term, slower-paced investigations, trying to learn all of the ins and outs of a particular drug trafficker or drug trafficking organization.
Yeah, obviously the opioid epidemic is very problematic, essentially nationwide, with all of our other HIDA counterparts. And I would say it's probably the worst I've ever seen it. One of the studies that our group did in 2022, there was over 1,300 Minnesotans lost their life because of overdoses. And roughly about almost 80% of all narcotic recoveries in Hennepin County are fentanyl at this point.
I mean, I think we are making an impact from the people that we do have contact with on the streets.
We're very thankful for the partner agencies that we have, the suburban agencies who've teamed up with us to take on this fight. We couldn't do it without them either. Southwest and West Metro, I would argue, have some of the best stats in the state when it comes to seizing drugs. You're talking pounds, tens, 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds of meth, or 10 kilos of cocaine and tens of thousands of fentanyl pills. One particular case I can think back, we seized almost 60,000 pills total in one investigation.
What I can say is that our seizures are the highest they've ever been. So each year over the last 3 years, we've continued to seize more and more. So I hope that we've peaked, and I hope that we start to see a decline. It's difficult to say until we get into the next year or two to see where those numbers go.